Allow me to quote Donald Trump talking about one of his favorite subjects, the mainstream media, and also the polling. You know, he used to love to recite the polling. I'm up in Florida, I'm up here and there. Now not so much. Says Trump at a rally the other day. The people who control political power in our society can rig investigations, like Hillary Clinton's investigation was rigged, can rig polls. You can see these phony polls, and rig the media. I understand Trump's not a happy camper these days. His own campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, goes on television and says they're behind in the polls, which Trump says are phony. And Ed Rollins on Fox News yesterday saying, Ed Rollins, by the way, is the head of a Trump super PAC. It means he's independent of the campaign. He says if the election were held today, Trump would lose and lose big, and they know it. So let's talk a little bit about the polls. Now, a couple of caveats. Polls can be wrong. They are snapshots. There are a lot of problems with polling these days. A lot of people don't have landlines anymore. They don't want to answer their cell phones and spend time talking to pollsters. Been a lot of instances in which polls have been wrong. Sometimes one party, often Democrats, are oversampled. So it's not like polls are perfect. But the notion that, let's go through the list. CBS New York Times, NBC Wall Street Journal, ABC Washington Post, Fox News, CNN, Politico Morning Consult, that all of these polls are phony and rigged because the organizations don't like Donald Trump. Well, there's no way that I'm going to buy into that. And I understand what Trump is doing. I mean, how many campaigns have we all been through where some candidate who was way behind said, and don't believe the pundits and the polls, and the only poll that counts is on election day, which is true, although technically not as much as it used to be, since we now have weeks of early voting in these key states. So that's why there's so much talk about polls. Now, I think right now, with this latest news about Obamacare and premiums going up 25%, and many people in that federal program having far fewer choices for health insurance, that could be a winning issue for Donald Trump. But the extent that he talks about polls, and you have the pundits who are already obsessed with the polls, there's a whole lot of talk about horse race stuff, which maybe is not the way we should spend the final 2 weeks of the campaign. All right, now, I don't have any problem with the people who do this for a living, the political analysts and prognosticators, looking at the red and blue map and saying, for example, Fox News projects right now Hillary Clinton would have 307 electoral votes based on states that are either solidly Democratic or leaning Democratic. That's more than the 270 you need to win. Larry Sabato in his crystal ball, 352 votes for Hillary Clinton. Nate Silver in the 538 site, 338.9 votes for Clinton because he's so precise. And then you look up, New York Times, I just picked it up the other day. New poll has Trump trailing by 7 in North Carolina. Could Clinton win Texas? Democrats say maybe she could win Texas. She's not going to win Texas. But in any event, the point is, it's a race in which Donald Trump is trying to make up ground. He's only got 2 weeks to go. There are no more debates. It's hard to move the needle, but polls are sometimes wrong. And here's the problem I have. We shouldn't be declaring this race to be over. We shouldn't be seeing all these stories. I mean, you can see some of them, but when every story is either about she's ahead, he's behind, he has no chance, who is Hillary Clinton going to pick for agriculture secretary? Will she win a mandate? How much can she help other Democrats win? The message it's sending, and I think that many journalists want to send, is that the race is over. But it might not be over. And a lot of people could look pretty dumb on Election Day. Now, that doesn't change the fact that Hillary Clinton is winning this race, and it will take considerable effort, maybe some mistakes on her part, and maybe some outside events for Donald Trump to catch up. But it's still an election. And I sense just a little bit of schadenfreude, a little bit of glee in some of the journalists and media outlets that are very happily reporting that Donald Trump is behind. Does that mean the polls are crooked like Trump calls crooked Hillary? No, it doesn't mean that. But it does mean that all of us ought to be a little more careful about just saying it's over. Remember what Yogi Berra said, not over till it's over.